Can two people really dismantle the entire headquarters of the JAA? Now that's a thought that's even harder to believe for all the employees working in the building, even after they hear intruders have fought their way past the first floor. One worker even claims the culprits must be idiots, and another says he's not even dignifying the sounding off alarm with a response. There is literally no possible or conceivable way that two people alone could massacre their way through legions of expertly trained assassins, all of them carrying countless firearms while also being heavily outnumbered and not knowing the full extent of what they're even up against? Ha! Imagine two morons like that making it all the way up to the third floor. Do you think he heard me call him a moron? After splitting up, Gaku has wasted no time clearing all the floors of employees. Even as more teams are put together and whole gun squads are firing on him, Gaku is just casually blitzing through storms of bullets, never wasting a single attack, decapitating or just outright breaking apart the foes that get in his way. Even more veteran assassins with advanced weaponry break through a nearby wall and clock the intruder point blank with gauntlets. But Gaku comes back from this completely unharmed, revealing his polearm/meat tenderizer has a small hand cannon at the end of it, bursting off a round into the veteran's face to stun him before Gaku winds up his swing and bats the veteran's skull miles away for a home run. Just when he's beginning to feel on a roll though, a chill strikes the air and Gaku loses his nerve. A strong and dangerous aura suddenly drenches the entire headquarters. Fresh from his tapioca stop after Tokyo Tower, a taxi cab pulls up to JAA headquarters. Old man Takamura has just arrived, and the senior citizen starts shredding Slur's henchmen like can openers from the moment he steps on the scene, cutting his way from the entrance all the way up to the third floor, revealing that heavy feeling of death that left Gaku shivering was coming from Takamura, the predator finally reaching its prey. As Takamura mutters sweet nothings to himself, he wanders aimlessly down the hall. And despite the look of a senile old man, Gaku's smart enough to see through that deception. The toughest battle of Gaku's whole goddamn life has just begun. Back on the third floor, Gaku wastes no time in jumping Takamura, attempting to smash the weak bones of the elderly and putting all of his weight into one downward slam. Or so Gaku intended, as Takamura is just lazily holding back Gaku with the hilt of his blade. And in less than another second, Takamura's sword goes from showing a flicker of steel to severing the entire third floor in two. A slash that reverberates through every desk and concrete wall just from the force it was swung with alone. Gaku lost 2 fingers and an ear, even while dodging. But the gang member knew any further hesitation means death, instantly responding with a counterattack. But before his sword was even resheathed, Takamura, in one swift motion, dices Gaku's entire weapon to pieces, leaving Gaku to only smirk in disbelief. At least before he realizes Takamura is making another slash. Cutting back to the other side of headquarters again, Uda and Slur can hear the building structure cripple from the battle between Gaku and Takamura. Surprised that he can feel old man Takamura's killing intent from this far away, Slur comments he's surprised that old geezer's even still alive and kicking. In the last moment, Shin calls to Sakamoto, almost making him hesitate. But before we know if that killing blow would ever connect, Gaku busts through the wall between Slur and Sakamoto. Not too far behind is Takamura, cutting through the door and tipping its handle open, carrying the presence of death itself. The Grim Reaper makes his appearance known, putting everyone in the room on high alert. Gaku even suggests aborting the mission to Slur, because fighting a smoke demon like Takamura is not what he signed up for. Which is crazy to think this one elderly man was more of a deterrent to Gaku than toppling the entire Hitman organization of Japan. This leaves Uda no choice but to take it upon himself and attempt to take Takamura out, firing off a couple bullets that Takamura just casually cleaves right through. Uda then tries to abuse his speed advantage and get behind Takamura, but the old man just flips his grip and stabs the blade backwards, cleaving through Uda's finger, gun, and eventually his throat. And although this is enough to motivate Gaku back into battle, it leads to instant regret on his part because Takamura again slips one last attack in before the blades resheath, this time, instead of his weapon, taking Gaku's left arm. Granted, gotta give Gaku props, he's built differently enough to shake this limb loss off like it's nothing and kick his disembodied arm back at the elderly threat as if it's its weapon, but Takamura is strong enough to block that second blue lock strike kick of the arc, getting off with only a few cracks in his sword. This gives Gaku a look in his eyes as if he has an idea, but before Takamura can swing down his death blade once more, Slurp pulls Gaku out of the battle by the collar, barely saving Gaku from another entire floor-encompassing cleave. Even Sakamoto and Shin are narrowly able to avoid it, realizing they're both severely outclassed in the fight that's going on right now. Gaku tries to goad Slur into taking Takamura on, but he comically shrugs it off, as if admitting not even he could deal with someone of Takamura's caliber. Which, if not even Slur is willing to fight Takamura, that old man really might be the current title holder for the world's strongest. As Slur attempts to make his escape, Sakamoto tries to stand in his way one final time. Yet no matter how strong Sakamoto's will is, he's nowhere close to a level that can effectively clash with Slur, or as we know now, Uzuki. Takamura also jumps in to try and ambush the gang, but unfortunately for everyone, Uda was still hanging on to life by a thread, revealing to be rigged with a self-destructive bomb. Slur apologizes once more to Uda for now making him give up his entire life for Slur's dreams. But Uda assures Slur that it's no worries at all. The traitor was most likely bleeding out from Takamura's stab anyway. Uda grabs on to the old geezer from behind and yanks his bomb cord with every last ounce of strength, cloaking the entire floor in a massive explosion. Amongst the chaos, Sakamoto was only able to shield the nearby Shin with his apron, meaning, sadly, the unconscious apart was lost in the blast. But before the two of them can rest, Slur's knife drops to the floor between them. His presence lays hidden behind the clearing smoke, whispering something to Sakamoto that we're unable to make out, but whatever was said leaves Sakamoto speechless. By the time the floor is emptied out of smoke, everyone has already disappeared, the only survivors remaining amongst the rubble being Sakamoto and Shin alone. After the invasion of the Tokyo Bureau had reached its end, over 176 assassins had lost their lives. Only a half a year after Slur began his purge of assassins, the total of registered hitmen across the country has dropped 75%.